So we continue with second halacha, and it says, what is meant by disputing the authority of one's teacher? Here we go, right? A person who establishes a house of study where he sits, explains and teaches without his teacher's permission in his teacher's lifetime. This applies even when one's teacher is in another country. It is forbidden to ever render a halakhic judgment in one's teacher's presence. Whoever renders a halakhic judgment in his teacher's presence is liable for death at the hand of heaven. So let's try to understand what it all means. It's very interesting. Okay, so from the beginning, and we're going to explain. What is meant by disputing the authority of one's teacher? So commentary. As mentioned in, before we continue, I have to explain. So in olden days, right, in times of Gemara and Mishnah, there were almost no books, only written Torah, right? Only 24 books, right? 5 books of Moshe, others prophets and writings. That's it. But all of these halachas were taught earlier, orally, right? So meaning that majority of the information a person would learn from his teacher in class, and many people knew Chumash and other books just by heart. They would quote like exactly like verses, right? So that's why when he has his primary teacher, meaning that he's it's time before Shulchan Aruch. We have to understand. So it's time before Rambam, right? So it was not so simple to know the Halachah, even though you have a Gemara. Let's say even after they published Gemara. So you read the Gemara, this stage is this stage that. Okay, very nice, very interesting. I think I understand what said, who said what, but at the end of the argument, do I know what to do? Absolutely not. I have no idea. And so was with many people. They do not know what to do. They did not know halacha, right? So that's why they needed Rabbi to explain all of the details. So today we have Shulchan Aruch, and it's much easier. But even in Shulchan Aruch, it's not so simple, right? And you read commentary on Shulchan Aruch, you read the Mishnah Brura. Okay, if you have a background and you know halacha, and you went over it one time, okay, and you go with the Mishnah Brura, yeah, you can get some ideas. But if you knew and totally new topics, so most likely you would not understand, okay, or misinterpret. Okay, so that was why was so important to have this teacher who would be personal primary source of knowledge. And so that student was like from this rabbi's yeshiva. So and he was known that he was Talmud, the students of that rabbi. And let's say rabbi went away, and he opened yeshiva, or like whatever the Beis Din, and everybody knows him as his a student of that rabbi. So it's like he's in some sense like a representative of this rabbi. That's the problem, of course, if rabbi did not authorize. Okay, that's just a little background. Okay, so let's start from the beginning and the basic commentaries. What is meant by disputing the authority of one's teacher? Commentary. As mentioned in the commentary to the previous halacha, Halacha none states, when does the above apply? To the outstanding teacher, right? To outstanding teacher, meaning the primary teacher, from whom one gained the majority of one's wisdom. However, a person who has not gained the majority of his wisdom under the teacher's instruction is considered to be both a student and a colleague. One is not obligated to honor him in all of the above matters. So if he's a student and a colleague, yeah. So continue, meaning that it's one of the teachers that he learned. For example, people learn hashkafa, Jewish ideology from one person, and halacha from another person. There is no there's no contradiction. Two different, one expert in one field, another expert in another field. Okay. So continue, and in Torah portion he could learn from both of them or from third person. But try to stick to only two, otherwise people get confused. A person who establishes a house of study where he sits, right, explains and teaches without one teacher's permission. So, because as we explained, everybody knows him under this, that he's a student that teacher in his teacher's lifetime. Okay. So what does it mean? A person, so one more time the sentence, a lot of commentaries. A person who established house of study where he sits and explains. So basically he opened up his yeshiva, right, and teaches commentary. He renders halachic decisions. Not only teaches, but renders halachic decisions. So again, it was the time before the Shulchan Aruch. So today we said we have Shulchan Aruch, and all of these books they came after it. So it's easy. It's easier to come up with decision. Much easier. Of course, if it's difficult case, you have to go to Talmid Chacham. But in many cases, it's like people asking questions not because it's a difficult case, but because they're ignorant, which is two different things. Okay. So one more time, he renders halachic decisions. Shulchan Aruch Yorach Dea 242.7. So also Caves of Mishnah explained the prohibition applies only to rendering halachic decisions on a matter directly related to practice. Very interesting. There is no difficulty involved in teaching on a merely theoretical level. Whoever is so meaning practice, meaning what this person should do, like in this specific situation, right? What he should do. That's practical advice, right? But some things in theory, maybe this, maybe that. That's a different story. There is no difficulty involved in teaching on a merely theoretical level, as we said. However, it is not clear whether Rambam would accept this view. Mm-hmm. I mean, if this person teaches Talmud, they would not. It's not practical halacha. Like even that person remember all of the arguments and all of the details, who said what and who contradict whom with what, but still it's not final halakha. It does not mean that he knows what to do. So it's more on a theoretical level, I think. The Rishon LeZion explains that this prohibition applies even to establishing a house of study under one's own direction, even though one does not render a halakhic decision. So he decided to go his way. But since everybody knows that this, I'm just saying, right, as a student of the great Rabbi, so he can mislead people, right? So, and all is done without teacher's permission. So if teacher permitted, he blessed him, there is no problem. So now he's trying to branch out and do his own thing. Commentary. A person granted permission to his teacher by his teacher is allowed to render halakhic decisions outside the teacher's presence. There is no problem. So Rabbi is very busy, right? So he said some easy questions you can answer, right? You can have a class, whatever, you can teach others. But difficult question you can send to me. I mean, he does not have simply enough time to teach everything. That's normal, right? So he assigned that person to teach some subject. There is no problem. The Ramah in Yorach Dea 242.14 equates teacher granting permission to a student to render halakhic decision to the concept of smicha within its present context. in a contrast to definition Talmudic times. So smicha meaning that, what is smicha? It's when somebody puts the hands on somebody else's head, it's like, sanctify this person. This comes of smicha. So he said, now you are being given the power also to render a halakhic decision. That's it. Okay, but smicha today does not exist. Why? It's very simple. One second. What is it? What was the explanation about smicha? Just 1 second. Something with the temple. It's escaped me. Sorry. Okay. So in his teacher's lifetime, right? So he teaches, he sits, he opens up yeshiva in his teacher's lifetime. Commentary. It is a mark of disrespect to one's teacher to set oneself up to be equivalent to his authority. So you have to decide you are Talmud or you are colleague. So if you're Talmud and you get permission from teacher, no problem. But if you decide that you're a colleague, so it's very, very arrogant, right? Eruvin 62b relates as long as Rav Huna was alive, Rav Hizda, the greatest of the great, right? His disciple would not render any decisions, even those concerning the obvious matters, as dipping an egg in a mixture of soy milk and bread. So, sour milk, I'm sorry. Sour milk and bread. Okay, so, okay. After the teacher's death, there was no restriction, provided one fits to render a Torah judgment. Okay, so out of the respect to his teacher, so he would, I guess, send everybody to his teacher, and only after his death he was able to tell people what to do. Continue. This applies even when one's teacher is in another country. So a person might think, look, he's in another country. So today is all of the countries, different countries, they with transportation, with fast transportation, it's not so far any longer. But in olden days, it's it takes you 6 months, 4 months just to get to another country by sea. That's very big distance, right? But even then, it's he's very, very far away, so still not allowed. This can be derived from Eruvin 63a, which states that Rav Hamnuna would not render judgment in Rav Huza's lifetime, even though they lived in different cities. Very interesting. Continue. Oh, okay. So I remember about the smicha. So the smicha must be passed from Moshe Rabbeinu directly, unbroken chain, from teacher to student, and today we don't have such a knowledge any longer. That's the thing. Okay, and plus I think it must be done by Sanhedrin. So his teacher must have smicha from Sanhedrin. Of course, we don't have Sanhedrin today. That's I think a second condition. But first condition is it must be unbroken chain from Moshe Rabbeinu.